let's go ahead into this next series. BHMS versus Button Bashers about to begin. Game 1 on Ruins of Lordaeron.
All right, we're going to follow Huron out from the gate as usual, since we love to see how his openers are, especially on this map, and they are going to be playing the Shadowcleave setup of Complexity BHMS.
Now back to that patient start that we're used to seeing. Waits for sprint. Now he does get a sap onto Snuts. Great start already. Going to open onto Brogo immediately. Now we don't, and actually Massive's caught in that Nova into a poly, so we can't grip him away. Brogo drops the 5K before Massive can come in and get a grip off.
It's up to full life. That was a great job of doing the War Stomp right before moving. He's going to travel forward away to the other side of the tomb. Here in, switched over to Massive. Tons of damage. Shield comes out. Trying to use anything he can. Big heal coming out from Brogo, though.
And not a lot of hots rolling just yet. And as you see, Brogo caught in a deep freeze, and now they're calling a swap, and now that's what you're afraid of hearing. 2,000 HP down goes Brogo. When the Koreans yell, something goes down.
You cannot ever against this team let hots roll off yourself. They saw that he had no hots on. They ran right over to him and dropped him.
You heard Orange Marmalade call the deep freeze onto Brogo, and immediately Huron hits whatever necessary to get to that target, and that is that. Brogo goes down, the Druid of BHMS. Round 1 will go to Button Bashers.
And that's a completely different story from the last time we did see BHMS play a RMP, which was their sister team from Complexity.
You might as well go and say anytime we've seen an RMP play that isn't Button Bashers, it's been a completely different story.
It's very true. Play style difference, the amount of aggression, I mean, it's night and day.
Now that Button Bashers team being on the left side of your screen currently, that of course being number 1, Orange Marmalade and Huron. On the right side, BHMS is Snuts, Brogo, and Massives.
So you got to be pretty worried about this next round if you were BHMS. However, they have identified what went wrong in that last round, so hopefully they can fix that a bit. But again, amazing opener from Button Bashers.
Now real quickly going over the standings currently, BHMS actually in a great position after 5 games played, being 3-2. Right now that's pretty good win-loss ratio when you see the field, and of course basically you need to make it into the top 4. You get a clean slate going into the double elimination portion of the tournament, and where you need to only topple 1 team and you make it to the money. And that would just be monstrous for this BHMS team if they could come to their first LAN event and place.
And not only placing, like this BHMS team has to know that they're going to, I mean, they obviously have this complexity that sent them here, but if they want to start to appear at other tournaments, this is the time to prove it.
This is how you do it. Now, last time we saw a very good sap. Basically, Huron got the opener that he wanted. Sap onto Snuts, goes over to Brogo, gets the opener, but at the same time, now this is key to this opener. Orange polys are Novas and polys Massive, so he cannot grip Huron off of his target. And you saw how low Brogo got in the very beginning, and finally Massive is able to grip him away. Otherwise, he probably would have died at the beginning of the game. And then all it took was a Brogo to get put into a bad position, caught in a deep freeze, and you hear the call from Orange, game done.
And that was it. All right, we're going to follow here now just till the very first part, and then we'll probably go and watch and see how Snuts can handle the rest of the match.
Now again, we'll see if Huron can do the same. You got to expect that Snuts does not want to get caught into an early sap, because basically it's just leaving his team in a very bad position. He can't just immediately trinket, because I can guarantee you it's going to follow with Orange stacking up debuffs in a poly or immediately blinded. Now gates have opened. Game 2, BHMS versus Button Bashers. Now Huron taking it nice and easy, not going to sprint out yet. He does have Massive's targeted, swapped over to Snuts. Now let's see, he's just staying out to the outside, doesn't want to go yet. He's got to be careful as he's right out in the middle of the arena, and he still has Snuts targeted, not starting yet. There's the sprint, cheap shot on the Snuts, so a little bit different already. Early blind on a Brogo, he's going to go ahead and trinket that, so going to be a tough spot again if he gets swapped to, but look at Snuts dropping down to 7,500 HP very quickly.
Snuts down to half right now, trying to stay alive. Of course, Brogo keeping him up. He does portal away and able to start casting more spells onto Huron, but the second that he portaled away, they did switch onto Massives, who's taken a bunch of damage, able to get out of that kidney with a trinket shot.
And now you just see Brogo also have to NS during that number 1 feared, breaking that immediately. In comes the death coil onto Orange, trying to slow damage down, but Massive's still in trouble as Brogo gets caught into a huge fear. Up goes AMZ, but in comes the damage, 3,000 HP, 7k heal, but not enough. Even with the 7k heal, the shatter comes in from Orange and drops Massives.
He did everything he can right there. And but still, even through the AMZ, they dropped him.
And now Heron getting rooted out in the middle was in a little bit of a tight spot, but number 1 easily able to pick him up with a penance, leaving Snuts and Brogo to 2v3, and not going to happen against this team.
Brogo's basically out of mana right here, so it doesn't seem like, even though Warlock Druid can be such a strong combo, if there was a team that could beat this RMP 3-2, I mean, that would be an impressive feat.
And now you see Brogo just kind of giving up, letting them clean this up. And some arcane blast coming out from Orange, changing things up a little bit. But now the opener onto Snuts. Snuts still playing it out, throwing fears onto Orange. Brogo caught into a deep freeze, and Snuts will go down. That'll do it. After 2 games played, Button Bashers up 2 over BHMS 0.
And what an impressive match. Look at those damage numbers.
Triple DPS. I'm calling it right now. It may not be a comp, but it is a team. Button Bashers running RMP. Number 1, 22,000 damage in that game.
And normally when we do see a kill coming onto Button Bashers targets, they have all 3 DPS onto one target, like we said, but it was through an AMZ. Heron must have dumped a ton of damage.
And now, of course, these teams will have the opportunity to talk things over and change anything they like. But we do have an arena popping, so it looks like both of these teams is going to be ready to go right back into Game 3.
All right, so if there is a time to start to bounce back, this would be the window of opportunity for BHMS. This is the map that I do believe they will have the most success on versus this Button Basher teams. And, of course, that is Blade's Edge.
And now really it's going to be up to Snuts to pull the fight down below, leaving Brogo up top to where he has the ability to kite down below, still keep up with his team and stay in LOS the entire time. But honestly, Button Bashers seem to have an answer for everything so far. I still can't say enough. The series against Check 6, so close, coming down to that 2v2 in the 5th and final game. And now coming into this next match, they're just carrying momentum and playing perfectly and destroying BHMS so far.
All right, so we will follow Massives out of the start to see how he can handle Huron's opener. Gates should be opening any second. Again, it is 2-0 Button Bashers over Complexity BHMS currently.
And it was funny, earlier we were talking, how it makes that little ding sound when you get low on HP. Now on, what'd you say?
That we should rewrite a mod how normally it gives you a signal that you're low on HP, and it should just have the Korean screaming instead.
It's probably a lot more terrifying. And now here we go. Gates are open. And Snut's going to come up immediately to the bridge, put his portal down, and actually he's going to position it a little further forward. We do see Heron coming across the bridge now, and he's just sliding right by. Oh, and there's that sap. Once again, not the opener that this team wants. Brogo knows what's coming. He is going to hot himself up. Now Heron positions himself behind that pillar, but no.
A little late.
Will still get the LOS on him to get the grip off.
That was a little late sheep right there to stop that grip. Heron, there we go. Now they're starting to get the dots going. Heron having a ton of dots on him right now. But he is on Snuts. Down to have switch target onto, with that, after the kidney shot, switch target over to Brogo. And
but look where Brogo got feared to. He gets feared to the middle of the bridge in between all 3 of those DPS of Button Bashers. That is just no bueno at all for Brogo, and nothing could save him. Deep freeze to cheap shot, DPS from all 3 members, and he just gets pieced.
He got blown up.
Not quite a goal, but still this Button Bashers team, 3 games played, 3-0, will win the series. We'll play out this 4th and 5th game as we're coming down to the wire in this round-robin portion of the tournament. And, of course, each and every game can influence the top 4 standings.
Triple DPS, look at that. Number 1 basically did more damage than anyone on the other team. Of course, Massives did a tiny bit more with all those dots all over the place, but Snoots, 6,300 damage.
I think he accidentally corruptioned someone.
All right, so 3-0 right now, Button Bashers over Complexity BHMS. Since this is after the third round going into the fourth, they cannot change anything, so they're going to be queuing right back up. We do play these rounds out because, like we've said, those third and fourth spots for the top four are so close.
And now BHMS, been following them since the wild card, and I haven't seen them run anything different besides the Shadow Cleave setup, so I honestly don't think they'll change their comps. But as far as strategy goes, it just seems like that Button Bashers is constantly on the aggressive side of things, even with Heron barely getting gripped there. I mean, it was a fraction of a second where Orange would have had him in a poly, and also Heron trying to position next to the pillar on BHMS's side of the bridge just so he couldn't get the grip off. And Brogo, I mean, just the amount of damage this team puts out is incredible.
All right, so let's see. They should be queuing up any second. Of course, on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see the team of Button Bashers. On your right, the brand new young team of Complexity BHMS.
And now this young team of BHMS looking a little defeated. And what can you expect when you're playing against Button Bashers that have pretty much been on a heater all the way through the tournament?
Yeah, and this must be such an intimidating match. Not only are they, this team 4-1 right now, Button Bashers, only being taken down by the number one team currently. But not only that, can you imagine sitting at home and seeing Button Bashers play at all these other tournaments? Saying, oh my God, Orange Marmalade is the best mage ever. I guarantee these guys have said that at least once or twice, and suddenly they're playing against him.
And make sure, if you want to hang out with a lot of the other people that are watching the stream, head over to irc.gamesearch.net and join Pound Arena Cast. A big shout out to those guys that have been keeping up with us all throughout the weekend, and especially people around the world that have stayed up through the late hours to watch these games.
And one guy messaged us and said he stayed up all night. He has to work in 2 hours, but it was worth it.
Hopefully he caught that Check 6 BB match or just any of Button Bashers' games so far, because they've all been incredible. I imagine there's going to be quite a highlight reel after this tournament just of everything that Button Bashers has done, from their openers to their swaps, and just the sheer amount of pressure. And also, who can you call an all-star on this team at this point? Orange doing an incredible job. Number one considered that third DPS, and Heron's openers have just been out of this world and something that we really haven't seen from any other RMP.
It's absolutely amazing. We'll watch Heron out of the start again to see this opener. He's done some amazing openers on this map.
Gates about to open. Again, Button Bashers already winning the series 3-0. This is the fourth game. We're going to play it out. We'll see if BHMS can change anything up, but it's going to take a drastic change.
All right, so the gates are open. Heron is going to sprint, taking it kind of easy like he normally does until he identifies his target and normally sprints. So he is going to be looking to Snoots. Look at that. They're already predispelling Snoots. And, but no, he's going back and forth. There he goes. Now he's going to get on it. No sap needed. Jumping blind already.
And now we do see right into the kidney, down below, down to 5,000 HP. Wow, there's that damage we're talking about. Brogo CS nuts at 4,000 HP. This might be it already. No, he'll make it past that and start healing him up. There's the grip from Masses pulling Heron away from his target. And now a lot of damage rolling onto the side of Button Bashers, actually, with a death coil onto number one.
Orange Marmalade feared right there as we have him on our screen. Oh, he's getting controlled completely. Number one, tons of damage right now, penanceing himself up to full no MS on that team. Massives is able to pick himself back up to full life, and he has a Shadow Fiend targeted for a second. AMZ dropped because he knows that they're going to be switching on to him.
And again, it seems BHMS is focusing on pressuring number one. All three members of this RMP getting a little low, and nothing going for the Button Bashers just yet as they're getting kited around by Massives at this point, something we've seen plenty of in this tournament.
Massives did have to sack Petri there, so he doesn't have a ghoul out, and that's going to no-gnaw is a big deal right now. Number one, I mean, look at all these dots all over the place. Just hit a him, I do believe, and number one down to half right now.
And again, not much pressure going on to the side of BHMS. Brogo getting a little low, but he sees it coming, gets the Cyclone off, trying to make sure that they cannot swap over to him. So far, BHMS doing a great job. Massive's caught into a kidney, drops below 10,000. There's a deep freeze on the Brogo. AMS goes up, but instantly broken because of the amount of damage that's coming into him. Massive's picked up, and Brogo having a tough time. But look at number one, no mana at this point, trying to use Hymn of Hope. Across comes Massives. and now he's going to have a little bit to work with, but he's down to 4,000 HP. Things not looking good for Button Bashers. Mind Freeze, and it looks like he's going to turn around and Mind Blast Brogo, who's kind of out in the open trying to get off a Cyclone, and we've seen that from number one before. At no HP, no mana, just going to go ahead and channel some damage.
Massives is being crowd control in the center by Orange Marmalade completely in that Nova. Now he's going to make his way over to Huron this time, even though number one has no mana. But big Arcane Torrent right there catching number one. Huron down to half right now, tons of dots ticking, and he's going to go down. And again, late game against this Shadow Cleave setup, this is what happens.
And honestly, great job by Massives, under a lot of pressure, but still able to keep Huron off the targets he was trying to get to. We saw them attempt to swap over to Brogo a lot of times, but Huron never able to connect because of Massives. So great job by BHMS in this fourth round, able to control the game and prevent Button Bashers from doing exactly what they wanted. So they will take the fourth round, bringing the score up to 3 Button Bashers, BHMS 1.
And you can tell that Button Bashers puts all of everything into a kill. We saw number one again casting a Holy Fire with someone on him under half health.
It is what he does best. After 4 games, of course, these players have a few minutes to talk it over, but it looks like they're ready just to go ahead and queue it right back up, and they're going to go ahead and zone into Ruins of Lordaeron.
So the momentum of the opener for Button Bashers, it was still very fast-paced like they do. However, the portal away for Snuts is what saved him, and then Brogo was doing a great job of staying very, very far away from number one.
Now, it's great to see BHMS adapt to the series and take back a win, but at this point in round robin where it's getting so close, you do get that clean slate if you make it to top 4 and double a limb, but this is not the time to have to learn things. You want to make sure you're able to win series. They do have a couple more games to play, but still, actually, I think another game later on, not just after this one, but it's going to be BHMS versus SKEU, our second to last round robin game today. So going to be huge for them. But let's finish up this series. Game 5, BHMS versus Button Bashers.
We're going to follow Orange Marmalade at the start because he makes things happen by starting with that crowd control onto Massives. Gates are about to open, and here we go. Orange Marmalade coming out of front with Snoots targeted right now and finding the target of his choice, which is going to be Massives. And look at him stack all those debuffs up before getting the poly off.
And now it looks like they're not even going to go for the Devours. They know what's happening. And there's an opener onto Snuts this time. Right into the kidney. And in comes a Holy Fire down below 10,000. Deep Freeze onto Brogo. He's not going to trinket it because he knows what's going to happen afterwards. Now Snuts not inside that AMZ. Getting picked back up, and now the damage is starting to flow actually onto Orange Marmalade. But look at the swap over to Brogo. He has to get across that sarcophagus. Wow, frostbitten right as he jumps across. That would have been a very bad place if that would have happened just a few seconds earlier. Fear on Orange Marmalade just trying to control damage at this point, and they're going to get those dots rolling. But look, Snuts again taking a lot of damage below 10,000 inside of that kidney.
Button Bashers really needs to stop Brogo right now. There we go. Deep Freeze, that's what they needed to do. Lots of damage onto Snuts right there. Brogo able to roll those dots back onto him, but a big sheep right there. Shifts out of it, keeps on tossing those hots out. But look, Button Bashers taking a ton of damage right now from all those dots.
And now Huron sitting at 7,000, and Orange getting very low as well. Number one trying to pick everyone up, but having a little bit of tough time as his Divine Hymn was interrupted by Massives. Now Orange stuck into that Cyclone, and number one fully dotted up once again. So great position for BHMS in this match. Now Orange will have a block, and he's just trying to save it to that very last moment. But number one in a lot of trouble.
He let's see, he blocked right there to get out of the all the dots that he had on him. Oh, big howl right there, catching everyone on the team. And number one down to half right now. Still has mana though.
And you saw a very good swap over to Masses, but he switches to Frost Presence and sacks his pet, pulling himself up the full. Now look to Huron, falling below 10K almost, but number one using that last bit of his mana, trying to keep him up. Huron down to 4,500 HP. Those dots are ticking, and number one is completely tapped on mana.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Button Bashers, and again, if the map goes on this long, they're going to lose.
And they are going to kill Snuts' pet, but honestly, at this point in the game, I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Instantly fell down, going to get, and it's just going to come right back out. We do have a blind on a Masses, but Huron so low. Number one trying to drink because he knows Huron has Cloak and Vanish up. Wow, huge drink by number one and great communication. This may turn the game around. Big fear on the Heron, still sitting at 7,000 HP. Number one has to get in there and pick his team up, but he's actually going to Mind Blast Brogo. CS inside AMZ, but Heron very low as well. There's the War Stomp. Heron goes down. Brogo able to pick himself back up.
Big NS right there, able to, it was a 12,000 point heal, getting him back up to half, and wow, that momentum shift right there was great. This team was basically running on empty. Huge drink by number one. They were going to try to make things happen. Unfortunately, Brogo was able to get away.
Now number one went into a moment of do or die. Heron at no HP decides to Mind Blast into that AMZ on a Brogo. Not enough damage. Heron dies. And the fifth game will go to BHMS, actually being down 3-0, able to bring it back to a respectable 3-2.
All right, so that is going to conclude this match. Of course, Button Bashers taking it 3-2 over the new complexity team of BHMS.
Coming up next, we do have Check 6 versus EG, followed by BHMS versus SKEU, and then our last game of round robin, Fnatic versus Button Bashers. But we're going to take a short break and be back here live at Anaheim for the Major League Gaming 2009 PC Circuit played on HP.
How many different scents